In this video, you're going to learn how to lead worship without a big band behind you. So if it's just you and an acoustic guitar or just you and a piano, I've got you covered. That's what we're talking about today. Coming up. Hey, Spencer here from leadingworshipwell.com. This is the place where we talk about how to lead yourself well, lead your church well, and lead worship well. So if you're interested in that, click subscribe down below, and let's get into it. Because today, we're talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart. I've done this many times over the years. In fact, when I first started at my church here, this is what it was. It was just me and an acoustic guitar. I still lead like that from time to time. So I feel like I have a lot of experience in this department, and I've learned that it's not a curse to lead by yourself. There are actually some amazing things that you can do whenever you lead worship by yourself. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be sharing with you what I've learned over these past, I've probably been leading by myself since I've started leading worship from various times in there. So probably for the past 15 years, I've been leading in this context. So before we get into that, though, I just want to hear from you. I want to hear, what is your solo worship leading instrumentation? Is it just you and an acoustic guitar? Do you have a keyboard? Or maybe it's like you and one other person. These tips will still be applicable to you as well. Let us know your instrumentation down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you in a second. Thanks so much for leaving your answer down below. Now let's get into how you can lead worship by yourself or with very minimal instrumentation. So you want to lead worship by yourself. Or maybe you don't want to, but that's just where you are, right? Like it's just you in your church on your worship team. It's just you and an acoustic guitar, you and a keyboard. Maybe you've got one instrumentalist alongside you who plays like the cajon or another acoustic guitar player. That's what we're talking about. And so the first thing that I want you to keep in mind as you lead worship without a band is that you aren't at a disadvantage. It's not like this curse that has been placed upon you. You can still lead amazing worship all by yourself. And I know that you know that deep down, but I just want to remind you of that because it's so easy to be like, look at all these bands that have like 50 million members in them and be like, man, that would be nice someday to have a huge sound with like 2 percussionists and 3 electric guitars. But here's the first thing really that I want to tell you is that to improve this time of you leading without a band, you need to not shy away from the fact that it's just you and your acoustic guitar. You actually need to lean into that. And specifically, you need to embrace the intimacy of that moment. That is the benefit. That is the, not that one type of worship is better than another, but that is the advantage that you have as just you and your acoustic guitar. Like, I know that seems like it's not as powerful as a huge band, but in some ways it's more powerful because people long for intimacy. So we want to embrace the intimacy that just you and your acoustic guitar provides. I'm sure you've experienced this type of intimacy before. I think of like sitting around a campfire with all of my friends, and it's just me and an acoustic guitar, or maybe somebody else and an acoustic guitar, and they're just playing. Like, those are some of the most special nights. And yes, whenever you go to like a big Hillsong concert or Elevation concert and they've got like amazing instrumentation, that hits a different sort of way. But there's something equally as special about those campfire moments, and those are the kinds of moments that you can create when it's just you and your acoustic guitar, all right? People long for intimacy these days. They want those moments, and a lot of people appreciate just an acoustic guitar almost more than the full band. So don't shy away from the fact that it's just you and an acoustic guitar. You don't have to lead apologetically. Like, don't apologize that it's just you and your acoustic guitar. And maybe you wouldn't say that out loud, but don't act like you leading by yourself is an apology. Like, lean in to the intimacy, embrace the intimacy of the moment. And that's probably going to mean that you lead worship in a different way than you would in a full band. Like, there's so much more freedom to do what you want when you lead by yourself, for better or worse. But you don't have a band that you need to be like, guys, we're going to the chorus here, make sure you hit the right chord, right? You just go to the chorus. So lead freely and embrace the intimacy if you are leading worship by yourself. Now let's talk about sort of a practical thing that you can add to add just a little more depth to your leading. And this is true whether you're playing on keyboard or you're leading on acoustic guitar. One super practical thing that you can do is add a pad to your sound. All right. And if you don't know what a pad is, I've made a video. I was going to say maybe a couple videos, but I think I just made one at this point. I'll link it down in the description below where I go into more details about it and how I run it. A super simple but effective setup at my church. I'll link that video down in the description below. But just to sum it up for you, a pad is just like this ethereal synth sound. It doesn't switch chords. You just pick a key that you're in, and then it plays, I want to say, like the tonic notes. I don't know if that's the right word, but I feel like it makes me sound smart. It just plays like the basic notes of the key that you're in. And so no matter what chord you go to, it's not going to sound off because it's just playing like the baseline notes of that key. I'll play an example of it right here and show you what it sounds like. Me playing with a pad, me playing without a pad. It sounds like this.
We're creation suddenly articulate with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry. Then from north to south and east to west, we'd hear Christ be magnified.
So as you can hear, you have that ethereal synth sound behind you. Why do we want that? It's because it fills in the sonic cracks of our sound and really rounds things out. The point of the pad is not so that we hear it, and ideally people wouldn't even realize that you're using the pad. Like, you want to keep it at a very low volume, but it just is like the glue that holds things together whenever you're playing, sonically speaking. And it's super easy to add. You just download the files like I talk about in the video I've linked down in the description below. You just add the files to your phone or a tablet, or you could have the sound person play it, and you just mix it in behind your instrument, and then you're good to go. So it's just a super simple way to just like level up the production just a little bit more in your worship leading without having anyone else beside you leading. And finally, number 3 is I just want to encourage you to focus on the fundamentals. Worship leading is like infinitely complex in and of itself. And then we go and we add like a team to lead with us, and we have to figure out how all of those instruments work together, and we have to figure out how to lead a team, and then we have to figure out how to communicate with them. And like, obviously we want to get there someday so that we can multiply our ministry and maybe accomplish a little bit more than we could by ourselves. Well, obviously, if you're working with people, you're going to be able to accomplish more than what you can by yourself. So that should be a goal, because we are called to live in community. But for right now, just consider it sort of a blessing that you have time to just focus on the fundamentals of worship leading. What I mean when I talk about the fundamentals, I'm talking about obviously learning your music. We want to learn our music, right? But beyond that, how do you actually lead the people that you are leading? We aren't just there to play a song with our acoustic guitar. We are there to lead them. So this is your time to focus on that. You know, you don't have a worship team rehearsal to get ready for. So instead of preparing for a worship team rehearsal, why don't you focus on how to improve your speaking transitions this Sunday? Or why don't you focus on opening your eyes whenever you're leading worship, engaging the room and seeing where people are at so that you can lead them better in the moment? Like, these are fundamentals that we can focus on as we're leading by ourselves, and we actually have more time to focus on those things because we don't have some big band that we're leading. Not that the big band is bad. We want to get there someday, but the beautiful part about this is that the fundamentals of worship leading carry over into the big band leading as well. So you can take everything that you've learned leading by yourself, and one day when you do have more people leading with you, you'll still have those fundamentals with you, and that'll set the foundation for your worship leading, and then you'll just be able to build on top of that. So it's not a curse that you lead by yourself. This is just a season that you're in where you can embrace the intimacy and focus on the fundamentals, and you can still lead your church well during this time. So there it was. You can still lead an amazing time of worship, even if it's just you. Embrace the intimacy, add a pad if you want to add a little more production, and then focus on the fundamentals. And those are just some simple ways that you can improve your worship leading whenever you're leading by yourself. But there's a couple other things to do that are actually super simple to do. There are 5 things that you can do to instantly improve your worship leading, and that's why I put together the audio training I've linked down in the description below, conveniently called 5 Tips to Instantly Improve Your Worship Leading. These are simple things. They aren't hard to do. You just have to know them and then make the commitment to do them, and then by this Sunday, your worship leading will be improved. So if you're interested in improving your worship leading, check that out down in the description below. Other than that, thanks so much for joining me. Until I see you in the next video, keep leading worship well.